For a shoe this expensive, it shouldn't have this many problems. Yo guys, Zakaragi here for a performance review for the Air Jordan 40. Now this is Jordan Brand's premier flagship model, so let's see how they did. But before we do, I need you guys to do me a favor, drop a like, drop a comment, and maybe even subscribe to the channel as well, as it really does help me out in the long run, so I'd really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get straight into this review. Now, I was really excited for these when Jordan Brand announced them because I wasn't really a fan of the previous Air Jordan models with the 38, 39, so once I saw the Air Jordan 40 and how it looked, I really wanted to try a pair. And after seeing some really cool colorways and some designs that included a Nike swoosh, I knew this was the one I needed to try on court. Now, these come with a pretty standard box right here. It's pretty basic, honestly, nothing fancy going on here. There is a pull-out lid situation, which I'm not going to show you because it's kind of a pain in the ass to get these open. And as far as retail price goes, they are on the more expensive side of things. So these are going to retail for $205 US or $260 Canadian. Now, that is quite a bit of money, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Now, getting more into the performance side of things, and the materials on here, in my opinion, are absolutely amazing. So what we have going on here is a whole lot of leather. So we have leather underlays, leather overlays on the toe box here. We do have some nubuck paneling as well on the eye stay and going towards the back of the shoe. It honestly just feels like a really premium shoe at this point, but there are some downsides to this setup here, so mainly just the breathability. There isn't really much going on here. Leather isn't really a breathable material. We do have this one little portion here where I guess airflow can sort of happen, but you don't really notice that, to be honest. I wish there would have been a little more perforations on the tongue area. That would have been nice to add a little bit more airflow to the shoe, but you know, beggars can't be choosers at this point. You can choose premium materials over cheaper materials that are more breathable, so it's kind of like a pick your poison type of situation. But I will say these did take quite a bit of break-in time, especially being that it is leather. So at first it was kind of uncomfortable on foot. I really felt some discomfort around like the toe area here and on like my pinky toe over here, but once I did break these in over an extensive period of time, these did feel much better and kind of felt more molded to my foot. Now, other things about the materials I do want to note is that on this sidewall here, it does come up a little bit higher on this part of the shoe as opposed to the lateral side here. So that kind of helps with wrapping up your foot and kind of adding a little bit more containment. And then on the inner part of the shoe, it does have like a semi inner booty. So towards like this part, as you can see here, there is like a part that kind of feels like an inner booty, but it doesn't really extend further out like a true inner booty would. So I thought that was kind of cool. That kind of helps with the lockdown. But moving on, let's actually get into the lockdown of the shoe. Now, I thought it was fantastic, honestly. The way that these things hug your foot and secure it into place, like, it just feels great, and you really do feel locked into the shoes. You get pushed back into the sturdy heel counter back here. I didn't have any heel slip issues. You know, I felt like I didn't really need to tie these as tight as I normally do with other shoes to get a secure feeling that I like on foot. It was just great right off the bat. But when it comes to the support of the shoes, it was good for the most part. In the heel area, you're pretty good on that end with the sturdy heel counter. No real problems there. Laterally, on those side-to-side movements, the shoes do a good job of containing your foot. And when it comes to the torsional support, you know, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that these don't come with a shank plate. Someone can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but you know, torsional support wasn't too bad, honestly, despite not having a shank plate. But priced at $205, that's kind of disappointing that Jordan Brand wouldn't include one within the shoes. I'm not gonna lie, but my main problem with this kind of setup overall was the stability. Now, I did feel a little bit of instability within the forefoot area. Now, I'm going to attribute this mainly to the cushion setup, which I'll get into later on in the shoes, but at times, honestly, I just didn't really feel very stable when I was playing. I kind of like to feel more connected to the floor, so I'm gonna say that it's mainly because of how the cushion setup is set up and maybe because it's a bit too soft, but there are times where I really have to switch out of the shoes because I just wasn't getting that stable feeling I like out of my shoes. And now moving along into the cushion setup here, and this is easily one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn. So these guys feature a ZoomX foam midsole with the Zoom steerable unit as well, and wow, this setup is just so damn comfortable. It's responsive, it's bouncy, the impact protection is immaculate, but you do sit higher off the ground because of this setup, and I felt like it was a little too soft in the forefoot like I mentioned before, which did cause those instability problems. Now for me, yes, I do like a bouncy and responsive setup, but I do prefer that setup when it is closer to the ground because I just like feeling connected to the floor. So that's probably where my instability issues are coming from. But regardless, if you are a bigger player, I feel like this is going to be great for you, or if you're just a player in general that doesn't mind not feeling as low to the ground with a shoe, then this cushion setup will be amazing for you. Now getting more into the traction setup here, and on this outsole we do have a mix of translucent and solid rubber. For the pattern itself, it does have some herringbone to it as well as some diamond patterns, and this rubber compound does feel fairly soft for the most part, so wouldn't really recommend you guys taking these outdoors. I don't think they're going to last very long. But as far as how they performed on court, on those cleaner courts, you shouldn't have any problems at all. I didn't have any problems. It was consistent, hard stops every single time. But when it comes to those dustier floors, man, the performance just drops off a cliff. Like, this outsole is an absolute dust magnet, and it really does affect the performance of the shoes. So on those dustier floors, it wasn't consistent at all, and I found myself sliding out a lot. Now you'll notice on the B-roll traction test footage I was doing, I slid out pretty bad on some of those takes. Now I never slid out that bad when I was playing on court, but I did slide out quite a bit to the point where I kind of had to adjust my game so I didn't slide out as much, because I'm the type of player that relies on speed and footwork, right? So a lot of hard stops, a lot of quick cuts and whatnot, and I couldn't really do that for the most part because these things weren't gripping the floor like I wanted them to on those dustier floors. And then finally, when it comes to the fit and sizing for these guys, it is a bit tricky. So for me personally, I found these to be a little bit more snug and narrow, but true to size worked well for me. But what was really odd was that I knew a guy that is the same size as me, right? And he thought that the size 10 that I normally wear was too small on him, and he had to go to a size 10 and a half. And the 10 and a half for me, which I did try on, was just way too big. So honestly, this is one of those shoes that you just really need to try on in store first to see what fits you best. But if you can't, true to size is my recommendation, and if you are a wide footer, then go a half size up. But overall guys, for 205 US or 260 Canadian, I just don't think the Air Jordan 40 is worth it. There's just too many problems within the shoes, and that traction setup is just a deal breaker. If your shoes don't have traction, then what's the point of even wearing them, right? So comment down below and let me know what you think about these shoes. If you had a different experience or if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I always love hearing from you. But we're at that point in the video now. It's time for hashtag Zacharagi, what you rockin'. And for today, I got the Puma Halley ones right here. Now, I did do a short form performance review. I will link that up here if you want to check that out. And I will be doing a full length performance review as well, like this one right here. So stay tuned for that. I'll also link it up here once that video is out. But that is it for today. I appreciate you for watching. I'm signing out. Peace.